I am continuing my reading. What I'm doing in this series is to read through the entire standard works of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. This consists of the Bible, the Book of Mormon, the Doctrine and Covenants, and the Pearl of Great Price. I am reading in a chronological order of events, not according to publication or volume, so I will be skipping around a bit as I move along. So in our last video, we read about the destruction of the city of Amulonites and the later defeat of the Lamanite army and their being scattered. We're going to turn now to chapter 25. Remember, this is shortly after Alma and Amulek have done their preaching in Ammonihah. The city has now been destroyed. That's what we read last time. The sons of Mosiah and the Lamanites are banding together. They've taken on them the name of Anti-Nephi-Lehi, and rather than defend themselves, they're letting themselves be killed so that they do not risk losing their souls. Many Lamanites are converted. Those who are not, well, that's where we left off. Many Lamanites lay down their weapons when they see the Anti-Nephi-Lehis are not fighting back. Now we're going to see the aftermath. This will cover the same time period as we read in chapter 16 with the destruction of Ammonihah. Be a little bit longer, but this is all in the 11th year, the beginning of the 11th year of the reign of the judges. We are now going to read chapter 25. Lamanite aggression spread. The seed of the priests of Noah perished as Abinadi prophesied. Many Lamanites are converted and join the people of Anti-Nephi-Lehi. They believe in Christ and keep the law of Moses. And behold, now it came to pass that those Lamanites were more angry because they had slain their brethren. Therefore they swore vengeance upon the Nephites. And they did no more attempt to slay the people of Anti-Nephi-Lehi at that time. But they took their armies and went over into the borders of the land of Zarahemla, and fell upon the people who were in the land of Ammonihah and destroyed them. And after that they had many battles with the Nephites, in the which they were driven and slain. And among the Lamanites who were slain were almost all the seed of Amulon and his brethren, who were the priests of Noah, and they were slain by the hands of the Nephites. And the remainder, having fled into the east wilderness, and having usurped the power and authority over the Lamanites, caused that many of the Lamanites should perish by fire because of their belief. For many of them, having suffered much loss and so many afflictions, began to be stirred up in remembrance of the words which Aaron and his brethren had preached to them in their land. Therefore they began to disbelieve the traditions of their fathers, and to believe in the Lord, and that he gave great power unto the Nephites. And thus there were many of them converted in the wilderness. And it came to pass that those rulers who were the remnant of the children of Amulon caused that they should be put to death, yea, all those that believed in these things. Now this martyrdom caused that many of their brethren should be stirred up into anger, and there began to be contentions in the wilderness, and the Lamanites began to hunt the seed of Amulon and his brethren, and began to slay them, and they fled into the east wilderness. And behold, they are hunted at this day by the Lamanites. Thus the words of Abinadi were brought to pass, which he said concerning the seed of the priests, who caused that he should suffer death by fire. For he said unto them, What ye shall do unto me shall be a type of things to come. And now Abinadi was the first that suffered death by fire because of his belief in God. Now this is what he meant, that many should suffer death by fire according as he had suffered. And he said unto the priests of Noah that their seed should cause many to be put to death in the like manner as he was, and that they should be scattered abroad and slain, even as a sheep having no shepherd is driven and slain by wild beasts. And now behold, these words were verified, for they were driven by the Lamanites, and they were hunted, and they were smitten. And it came to pass that when the Lamanites saw that they could not overpower the Nephites, they returned again to their own land. And many of them came over to dwell in the land of Ishmael, and the land of Nephi, and to join themselves to the people of God, who were the people of Anti-Nephi-Lehi. And they did also bury their weapons of war, according as their brethren had. And they began to be a righteous people, and they did walk in the ways of the Lord, and did observe to keep his commandments and his statutes. Yea, and they did keep the law of Moses, for it was expedient that they should keep the law of Moses as yet, for it was not all fulfilled. But notwithstanding the law of Moses, they did look forward to the coming of Christ, considering that the law of Moses was a type of his coming, and believing that they must keep those outward performances until the time that he should be revealed unto them. Now they did not suppose that the salvation came by the law of Moses, but the law of Moses did serve to strengthen their faith in Christ. And thus they did retain a hope through faith unto eternal salvation, relying upon the spirit of prophecy, which spake of those things to come. And now behold, Ammon and Aaron and Omner and Himni and their brethren did rejoice exceedingly for the success which they had had among the Lamanites, seeing that the Lord had granted unto them according to their prayers, and that he had also verified his word unto them in every particular. So more prophecies being fulfilled. Abinadi's prophecies are fulfilled here. The descendants of the priests of Noah, the Amulonites. Now this is in the 11th year. This is in the year 80. The Amulonites would have taken the daughters of the Lamanites sometime around 135, possibly up to 140, so 50 to 60 years earlier. Amulon probably is not alive anymore. Most of the actual priests of Noah are probably dead. These are their descendants. These are the people that are born to the priests of Noah and the daughters of the Lamanites. And as it says, almost all of them are killed in these battles with the Nephites. Those who are not claim power over the Lamanites and then start executing anyone who starts to believe. Now you understand that a lot of the Lamanites, they go up and they fight the Nephites. And they think they're doing good because they destroy Ammonihah. And then they face the Nephite army and get completely destroyed. And they start thinking, maybe Aaron and his brothers were right. Maybe the Nephites have something there. The Amulonites can't take that. Because remember, people in power don't want to share it. And so when you start believing in God, and you start turning your life over to God, those who are in power, they can't have that. Because that's a threat to their power. And so they start killing off all those who start believing. Now these aren't baptized members, because there's nobody there to baptize them. They're in the east wilderness. Ishmael's most likely out in the west. But because of their deaths, a lot of the other Lamanites get angry and rise up against the Amulonites. And this is basically the end of the Amulonites. They flee into the wilderness, they're scattered, they're being hunted by the Lamanites. This is basically the end of that line, of that group of people. But the Lamanites, then a lot of them move over and join the Anti-Nephi-Lehi. And so we have this different conversion. You have the Lamanite and his people, converted by Ammon and his preaching. The old king, he takes a little bit more, he's a little more stubborn, and he has to be slapped around by Ammon a little bit to get some sense into him, but he gets converted. Then they have the preaching, the general preaching, 7 lands are converted. All the other people, they're too hard-hearted to be converted. But after they suffer through wars and all these afflictions and everything, some of them start thinking, well, maybe there was something to that. After the trials, they start converting. And the Amulonites try to stamp it out, but they just cause more conversion by their persecution. And so the sons of Mosiah and their brethren rejoice in God. They're not rejoicing that so many people have died, but they are rejoicing that through those afflictions, so many have been converted. We leave that here. We are now going to be turning to chapter 26. We're going to stay with the sons of Mosiah for a short time. I will see you there.